What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about a bunch of books that have come out this week, and we're going to kick it off with a big one, hugely anticipated, Ultimate Wolverine, number one.
Can this guy get more Ultimate Wolverine?
I already thought the regular Wolverine was the Ultimate Wolverine, but that was the penultimate Wolverine. Here we're getting the Ultimate one from Marvel, written by Chris Condon.
Wolverine.
Art by Alessandro Cappuccio. And yeah, this is the latest title, the Ultimate line. The concept here is that we've got a Wolverine who is
There
working...
is no talking.
For the, I'm forgetting the exact name, but the Russian contingent, which is Omega Red, Ilyana Rasputin, and Colossus, are the people working for the Maker who run that area of the world. And Logan is their Winter Soldier. Again, highly anticipated. Pete, you're a big Wolverine fan, so I'm very curious to hear what you thought about this ish.
Well, first off, this is a badass Wolverine cover right here. I mean... That's a set of very
Guy's
cool
got three claws. You see it.
That's the ultimate, man.
Yeah.
Regular universe has like 2.5 claws tops.
No, that's not true. This is I mean, first off, holy shit, what an issue. Silent Wolverine, just straight fucking people up, just badass action the whole time. This is some cold-blooded shit, man. I mean, there's no more talking. It's just Wolverine straight plowing through people. It is just insane.
You're saying the Ultimate Wolverine is just not talking. You're sick of all the bubs.
Yeah,
I'm done with bubs.
No talking, just straight murder.
He's the best there is at what he does, and what he does is shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Silent Wolverine is the most deadly Wolverine.
Like a fart. Is what you're saying.
I was
that's a full quote right for the cover.
To say it.
Justin,
you said it.
On the flippy diffy of this, you are a huge fan of Chris Condon's work in That Texas Blood and other thing. So how did you feel about it from that perspective?
I really like this, and it's for a reason that may sound a little strange. I like sort of the edit of this. Like the idea of you're given the task of making an Ultimate Wolverine and being able to be like, okay, what does that mean? And to have it be focused on the Weapon X portion. Like this is a sort of classic Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X style Wolverine here, who is just programmed, devastating, and ferocious. And to be able to take that simple idea and give it a little more Marvel Universe context, where we get our Russian mutants surrounding Wolverine and the Winter Soldier sort of lay on here, I thought was really smart. A smart stack of ideas, but still keeping it really controlled and focused, I think is great. Like, I think this is, and it's such a different flavor. So much of the Ultimate line is big storytelling and finding a slot in the larger story. And this feels content to be out on its own, telling a story that is just fun, ferocious, that can satisfy your classic Wolverine psychopath like Pete and a real dick like me.
Wow.
I'm going to give a shout out to Alessandro Cappuccio's art on here. There are just some absolutely brutal action scenes throughout that are very intense to read. I got to kind of get over a little bit of my preconceptions outside of the book, which I think I put away by the end of the first issue, so I'm more curious to check out the second one. But specifically, I went into this, given the mask, being like, oh boy, there's going to be a twist. This isn't Logan, this is somebody else. And the entire issue, they have characters being like, I know who that is. And then getting cut off. And I was like, it's Sabretooth. It's got to be Sabretooth. Or it's Daken. Or it's Laura Kitty. Or like literally, or
someone else.
Bucky. Or something.
I thought it was going to be, I agree with you. I thought it was going to be someone completely different throughout. And then to rest on the idea like, no, it's our guy.
Yeah. Was surprising. So maybe I need to go back and read it again, but I definitely spent a lot doing the guessing game reading the issue. The second part that was tripping me up a little bit, again, this is not in the book, this is just on me, is how this squares with what Peach Momoko and company are doing in Ultimate X-Men. Because here, we're getting Nightcrawler, Mystique, other mutants. Like, this is more of a traditional X-Men book than what's happening over in Ultimate X-Men, and I'm not quite sure how those things necessarily gel together. Not that they have to.
I think they don't. And that's okay. And that's why I appreciate the the tightness of this, if this book had tried to cross over with that, which is doing something completely different, I think that would be a hard lift. So I appreciate what they're doing. And to your earlier point, it's wild to have a reveal be actually an anti-reveal. That like it's like, haha, who is it? It's Logan, like you might expect. It's like,
Because
okay.
it looks just like him, and it is him.
And it acts like him, and he's got those claws,
Yeah.
three claws on each hand, let's not forget.
But again, in the regular 616, usually 2.5 tops, and that's where we're
not-
maxing out at.
No.
Yeah. He usually,
I don't know. I've read a couple of comic books, I think.
if you were Wolverine, would you pop all three claws all the time? Because, like, as we
No,
know,
the claws-
it hurts. It hurts to pop them, each one. It's
Yeah.
like 3 separate cuts. And one would do just as good a job most of the time as 3.
Yeah.
Right?
By the way, as a related thing, what do you think about that as a Pop-Tart slogan? It hurts to pop them.
Good.
No.
That's really
doesn't
good.
make me
They're hot. They're so hot when they come out of the toaster. Ouch.
Yeah, dude, Alex, you eat them immediately. You just burn
Immediately,
the
I
shit
just
out of
stick
your
my mouth, I open it up wide, I unhinge it like a snake, Pete,
Oh, man.
and let the Pop-Tart go right inside.
You let it pop into your mouth from the toaster. A
100%.
controversial way to do it. But I mean, do you guys, when you guys are at home just cutting up like a steak, are you often throwing 3 knives at it, or are you just doing
Oh,
one?
yeah. 3 knives, man.
Because I don't know if you need this other 2. You could just do it with one.
Here's the thing, Justin. When you're fighting, sometimes
And I am.
So things are just out of reach. So if you have 3 claws going, you know what I mean? You're more likely to hit it. It's just smarter to have 3.
You're more likely to hit it. They're all the same length.
No,
Technically.
they're different. They're separated. You can clearly tell by the picture.
Yeah, but they're the same length. It's not like, I mean,
You're
this
reaching.
picture.
You're reaching for somebody. This one's closer than this one.
Well, here, I'll throw out something that literally nobody has ever said before. How does he bend his wrist? You know, because he's got
Yeah.
those claws going down. I don't know if
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody mention that.
Yeah, give me my hashtag straight wristed Wolverine because I want that's way more fun to me. Well, I think technically not to be no prizey about it, but I think the claws come from beyond his wrist, so they shoot past the bend.
Oh, that's so painful.
Again,
Shoot past
why
the
not
bend.
just pop one? Pop one.
That was the other slogan they were going for with Pop-Tarts. And then they're like, we're only selling half the package now.
Yeah, why not pop one?
There's 2 in every
Reverse
package.
Would you stop talking about Pop-Tarts?
Never. All right, well, let's talk about Wonder Woman number 17 from DC Comics, written by Tom King,
Yes.
art by Daniel Sampere. Wonder Woman is continuing her attack on the Sovereign. In this issue, she sends the Wonder Girls after his villain flunkies. I have completely turned to bed on this comic book. I thought this issue in particular was phenomenal, and I know we talk a lot about
Yes.
Tom King and structure. This issue was so perfectly structured, from the arc of the fight with the Wonder Girls and the villains to contrasting what is going on with Wonder Woman and the Sovereign. I thought this was brilliant. I know it's early, but if we remember it later, maybe one of the issues of the year.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, first off, why didn't you mention
This is like week 2.
Why
I
didn't you
know.
mention
I'll
it?
forget.
When we were talking on the live show about what was your favorite.
Well,
you're
on the
looking
live
forward
show,
to.
the live show is Tuesday night, and I haven't read the comic books that come out on Wednesday yet.
I'm
so
aware
I
of
guess-
that. I'm aware of that, but it's just funny that all of a sudden now it's a day later and you're talking about how great it was. Where were you?
Because
yesterday?
I read it.
He's got you there. Sometimes you got to read it. And I agree with you. This book is, so many of Tom King's comics are like building to a very specific point. And this one, I think it is as well, but it feels like Tom King is doing much more of a, let me do this issue by issue. It feels like each issue is its own package. And I love a good package, and that's what we get here is...
There's nothing like a tight package, dude. We've said that for
what
years.
Pete LePage says for a long time.
As
Really good, just really, really good storytelling, and like the cover says it all. These 4 heroes are all one in a great way in this book.
as a person who mentioned it, that this was really looking forward to it, and
so it
very
really
excited
panned
about
out after you read it as well, is what you're saying.
I'm just saying, I called it, and
congratulations.
I think this is great.
You're like a magic 8 ball.
Yeah, that was honestly, everything was working against this. People were like, Tom King, Fuck that guy. Daniel
Daniel Sampere, no.
One of the worst artists of all time. Wonder
How
Woman.
dare you?
Who knows her?
How they bring this home.
How
And the
dare
fact
you.
that you called that out of nowhere is that's an all-timer, Pete.
I'm just
You're
saying,
like the
we
Babe
talked-
Ruth. You're like the Babe Ruth of T-ball.
Just call it.
Yeah,
Listen, we all talked yesterday about things we were looking forward to. Nobody
Yeah.
said shit. I was the one who said it. Now you're
Well,
all
you
like,
said it,
oh,
so I didn't take it
as
as well.
we said.
100% didn't say that.
Anyways, I just think it's so moving how much she loves Steve. I was very moved by this issue. I loved it so much. And she's talking to her child, and it's just beautiful. I
Well,
think it's
I
amazing art and a great story, and I fucking loved it.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Have we seen this issue is about her love of Steve.
That's
She
right.
literally carves a statue out of a boulder about
From
love.
memory, bro. That's how much she loves Steve. Knows every inch.
And like, have we seen that romance happen? We've
Yes.
seen
What?
it in pieces.
For years, we've seen it.
There was an entire issue where they couldn't stop kissing each other.
Yeah.
It was driving
I'm
Jamie
just saying-
crazy.
I want to. I guess reading
She
this
went to
issue,
hell for him?
This isn't a criticism.
So,
and they
sorry,
do-
other than the issue where they spent nonstop kissing and the issue where she went to hell for him, that wasn't enough for you, is what you're saying. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying.
I just want to say I called this last night.
Good. You called this conversation not possible.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, I
Let me
want to
open
see
the
the.
envelope where I wrote it down.
I want to see this relationship happen for a while. We've seen some actions that are like displaying of love.
It's too late, bro. They're dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't.
Well, okay, yes, cool. Have you ever read comics? Perhaps it's possible. I'm just like, this is a relationship that I think is held up in comics as like a great romance.
It is.
But I think we don't actually get them together much, and I would like to see some time spent with we actually see their relationship playing out.
There
All I'm saying.
was, I will say, if you're interested in that, there was a really interesting issue of the comic Wonder Woman just a couple of issues back where they spend kissing each other the entire
Yo,
time.
I don't know if you've ever been in a relationship, but it usually lasts longer than one issue.
Hey,
You ever been in
listen,
like
man.
love? It's usually longer than like
He
one
was also
time.
present throughout the run. His
of
death
course,
was
this
the
is no
turning
I hate to
point
break
here.
it to you, but you know, Romeo and Juliet didn't get to spend a lot of time together, but that
I
was
know.
considered a love.
I'm not saying they're not. in
Sometimes
love.
you don't get what you're supposed to get, all right?
Of course,
And they
of-
didn't have that, but she's still holding on to it because she loves him, all
Right.
right?
Just because your wife went away doesn't mean she's out of the series. Justin.
Yeah, exactly.
She's coming back.
I think, bro, I think she is out of the series. She's out. I understand all of that. I'm just saying, I feel like this is a relationship that is much talked about between them and much like worried upon from the characters, and I want to see them be happy together for a while. Like,
Do you
like
think,
understood?
just to throw it out
like,
there,
wait,
I
just
know-
wait, real quick,
Yeah.
before you say that. Pete's like Romeo and Juliet, they were in love. I don't think anyone looks at Romeo and Juliet and they're like model relationship.
Yeah,
and
life
I'm just
goals,
saying,
bro.
I want to see these.
Is it better
people-
have loved for 15 minutes that was pure than never have loved at all? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, again, this is not a criticism. I'm just saying, I want to see them be happy more.
Well, do
before
you think, like, you would love to see that in this issue, she built a statue of Steve, and just imagine, so this is the clay baby who became a human, and then she created another clay baby who became a human. Do you think there might be something with, like, the statue she's building, potentially?
That's made of clay.
That's made out of clay and rock?
Well, it's a rock. I mean, it's a
Let him walk.
rock.
Yeah, it's not
him
clay,
walk.
Alex. It's not
I'm
clay.
so sorry.
She walked
Everything's
that
clay if it
boulder
gets
all the
soft
way
enough.
up the mountain.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've argued
That's
enough
what
about
love
this.
is.
Why don't we talk about an issue I'm sure we can all agree on? G.I. Joe #3 from Skybound and Image Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Tom Reilly. In this issue, the Joes are really on their
Riley
back
Tran.
legs after being beaten up by Cobra. In the previous issue, one of them is dead. One of them is undercover in Cobra. And Cobra is making some big moves, meanwhile, to build some new machines. There's also some dissension going on in the Cobra ranks that may mark trouble for them. And by the end, there are some new villains back coming directly for our Joes. Pete, you're our Joe guy. What'd you think about this?
Yeah, yo, Joe, this is
Our
awesome. stuff.
average Joe.
This is This is some fun stuff here, all right? I love the nostalgia bath of this. Love the art and storytelling. Tons of fun, tons of action. Who doesn't love Tomax and Zaymont? I mean, this is just fun stuff, man. I mean, a lot of action, a lot of things coming together. You know, Cobra's always got Cobra La trying to gun him down. So it's just nice to see this slice of life, what it's like to be a G.I. Joe. And, it's tough business.
No better term to apply to this issue than a slice of life. This is just your classic.
This is
like an
honestly,
indie film.
I felt like I was watching a Robert Altman movie, honestly.
Yeah. You can feel the voiceover. Just really nice.
Robert Altman's G.I. Joe. Let's see.
Are you thinking of Richard Attenborough, Pete?
No, I'm just saying that in fancy movies they usually have voiceover stuff.
Movies, yes.
Your fancy movies with all that Hollywood on it.
Yeah, with the
with dirt,
usually have
thoughts,
voiceover
and themes and stuff.
Yeah, you got time and money for voiceover. You're really making a movie.
Yeah.
Let me say, Pete, what is I'm starting to lose my ability to understand the levels when it comes to of excitement for the reveal at this issue of Tomax and Zaymont, the Crimson
Zaymont.
Okay.
The Crimson Twins.
Zaymont, is this, and I want you to just help
because it's the
us
name
out.
spelled backwards. You get it?
Yeah, I would. Oh, what a mystery to unsolve for us to solve for us here. But let me ask you: is this on a scale of 1 to 10 of GI Joe reveals? Give us the number.
Well, I mean, we've gotten teases of them in different comics.
We've gotten Zaymont teases.
Yeah,
they were the antagonist in Destro.
Yeah.
Okay.
So popping up lately, kind of a hot topic, but if I was reading this cold and this was the only thing, I would have been losing my mind. You know what I mean?
Give me a number.
I
are you got a Zaymont action figure at home?
Yeah. I mean, they came with pretty sweet.
Tomax?
They came together and they came with pretty sweet vehicles and stuff like that. Also,
they always come together.
And then, there was also the building that could transform that you could land planes in.
My favorite toy is a building.
Hey, man. I didn't design the toys. I just played with them. All right, man.
Okay, so did you say a number yet? What is your number of excitement?
I would say 8.
8?
8?
Okay.
Yeah, out of 10.
All right.
It's pretty high.
Okay, that feels high for these two corporate guys.
Yeah, I think there's some fun muscle jockeying type things going on here with these two dudes beating each other up. I think, we're getting some fun action with Cobra and everything. This is a fun book. The end.
I agree. I like this
Great
book.
art, too.
It's just funny because it's almost like reading a comic I don't speak the language of, because they're like, the Crimson Twins. I'm like, okay. And they're like, you should know this. And I don't know.
You should know this because you're reading a G.I. Joe book.
I do have one other question. If you're starting and you're breaking off from a mystical bad situation to start your own criminal organization,
right?
Why would you name it the same name? Because it's crazy when they're like, the guy's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm from Cobra La. And everyone else is like, we're Cobra. So,
well, here's the thing. Cobra La is kind of like the motherland, if you will. That's where Cobra, they think,
yes,
you saw the movie. I'm sorry. You saw G.I. Joe, the animated movie. I don't have to explain this to you.
Well, but in the comic, they explain it. Well, it's
place.
Just funny
Cobra
to me.
La is a place. So the people, they're from there. They, Cobra Commander betrayed them, and they feel wronged by him, so they're constantly trying to murder him.
Okay, just interesting naming structure.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about another comic book, FML number 3 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, art by David López. In this issue, we are following our main character who's been turned into a giant, hairy Sasquatch-style monster.
Pretty sweet.
He's got to figure out how to still play in his band. That's basically the main problem they're dealing with here. Love the tone of this book. Love David López's art. Kelly Sue DeConnick, as always, with this series, is really just tapping into something very present about youth in America, but also adults in America, because she takes the mother's perspective as well. Great book.
Well, and also I feel like we're getting a little bit of slice of life, to use Pete's term, about, this is me reading into it, about Kelly Sue DeConnick's life.
100%.
And that's really cool. It feels like it's able to capture like something like a very unique, fun story, while also being a little bit of documentary about Kelly Sue DeConnick's life as a comic book creator, and that's really fun. It's a delicate balance, but I feel like it really works in this book.
Yeah, I felt like this in high school, too. When I got my first chest hair, I thought maybe it was going to be a Chewbacca situation. So I very much
that became true. That's true.
So
for those of you who don't know, like the three of us got together for the first time in a long time, and Pete is Chewbacca.
Yeah. I mean, you realize that you're speaking Wookiee, right? We also
have to translate. Yeah.
Translate.
It's like a Groot situation. You've been around me so much, you understand it. Anyways, I thought this comic was not only beautiful, but just a ton of fun. I love what it's saying. I love the art. I love the whole vibe of it. It's but just spoilers. It's always tough when it's Oops Dead Body. You know what I mean?
Let me just say, the most listeners heard you say, I am Pete over and over again just then. So just know that about yourself.
Rogue the Savage Land, #1 from Marvel, written by Tim Seeley, art by Zulema, Scotto, Lavina. This is going back in the day to when Rogue, per the title, was in the Savage Land. This takes place during the classic Chris Claremont Uncanny X-Men run. We get a little Magneto, a little Khazar, some other Savage Land stuff going on here. This book, when it was announced, and we talked to Tim Seeley about this at New York Comic Con, was kind of controversial. People were upset and felt like they were reverting Rogue to a period that they didn't love. And Tim was like, can you please just wait and read the comic already? Now that we have read the comic already, what do you think?
Well, first off, shout outs to the cover where we got the old school kind of like Marvel Comics logo with the floating heads.
Love that.
Yeah, that brought me back. And then the little Fury in the corner. We all know you can't put Fury in a corner, but it's a fun little throwback
just like
kind
Baby.
of cover. Yeah. I thought this was a fun tale, Savage Land tale, and a kind of fun twist of the zombie kind of monster creature type things happening to kind of ramp up, the tension and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, this is a throwback. Like, for everyone being mad about it, like this story slots perfectly into Rogue's continuity. So, like, to be, I don't understand that the anger about it feels like it's like, hey, Rogue and Magneto, that relationship shouldn't happen. He's so much older than her. But, like, in the story, it did happen, right? Like,
kind of. I mean, they skirted it a little bit, but also it doesn't even seem on this first issue that that's what they're doing. So
that's what I mean. This relationship is
really.
also this comic is also skirting it. So, like, I don't know. It felt like there was definitely like a tempest in a teacup about this, when this feels like a fun story that exists in a time that I read comics and want to read comics in this time period.
Yeah, and there, like Pete was saying, there's a really cool, different for the Savage Land monsters. I feel like whenever we go to the Savage Land, it's kind of the same story.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of different riffs going on here, some other classic characters. I thought this was very fun. I thought this was a very fun throwback. But I will say, if any listeners do object to it and have additional concerns after reading it, let us know in the comments or whatever. We would love
please.
To hear
Having read it, I would like to hear, because I actually think everything's handled really well, and the writing and art, it's hard to evoke a time in both writing and art here, and I think this comic does a great job of doing that.
The New Gods, #2 from DC Comics, written by Ram V, art by Evan Cagle and Jesse Lonergan. In the previous issue, Mr. Miracle was given 7 days to save a new god who has emerged before Orion goes to kill that new god. Meanwhile, Allfather is really bummed about the death of Darkseid, and Apocalypse in this issue is reckoning with that as well. I really like the first issue of this. I think they blew it out in such a great way in the second issue. This feels like it felt like we were giving a big scope story a small scope by really focusing it on Mr. Miracle. Here we started to blow it out with an even bigger scope with the Apocalypse stuff in particular. This series is phenomenal.
At the same time, though, still focusing on Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. The Big Barda reveal, like halfway through the issue, is
great.
So fucking good. Yeah. And, like, let me just say, I just have to applaud DC Comics across the board and editorial. Like, the way they're, like, parceling out the ramifications of what happened in the All In event it's amazing. The way they're able to just really very carefully tell the story and give each thing its due and excitement is really great. And this series feels so important. The art is so good. The writing is excellent. It feels hugely mythological, while at the same time we're right there with especially Scott Free and Big Barda on their mission. Like, man, I was so hyped by this.
Yeah, this is, first off, really cool cover. Crazy impressive art, and the panel designs. It just feels fresh and unique. And the Barda Scott stuff was just amazing. And also tense and hilarious. The old, like, are you mad? Oh, when you gotta ask, you're in trouble. Oh, man. But yeah, this is just great. I'm
really great. And let me say, this is the kind of relationship I want to see a little bit from Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. Like, we get to actually be with them, and we don't get to do that. And that's all I'm saying about that.
Well, this is great. This is one issue where we get to see it. If we continue to not see it for like several other issues, will you be like, that never happened, like you did with the one issue?
Look, you kiss a little bit. That's not a relationship. I have a lot of personal experience to back on that.
All right, not me.
What are you bragging about how many people you've kissed right now?
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Give us a number. Give us a number.
I don't know what's happening, bro. I don't know what's happening.
Behemoth,
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Behemoth #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Grant Sputore and Ryan Engle, art by Jay Martin. The concept here is not revealed until the end of the issue, so I'm going to spoil it right off. But giant Godzilla-style monster attack. There are a bunch of folks that we're following that all end up in a city bus together, and the monster swallows that city bus, and then they're going to have to fight their way out somehow from the belly of the whale. Despite doing that classic, here's the concept at the end of the issue, I thought the action was very kinetic throughout here, so that definitely kept me engaged.
Yeah, they did a great time telling this story, and it's just kind of an interesting heightening, because we always get, like, well, not always, but we get Godzilla attacks, and oh god, run for your life. But it's like, what if you were trapped in the stomach of a giant Godzilla-type monster in a bus? What do you do? So we're going to get that played out. I'm very excited. Super informative in case we're ever attacked by Godzilla. So this is a manual for escaping. And so I'm very excited to see what's going to happen.
Oh, speaking of the manual, do you feel like it's just let's get to the butthole?
Oh, gross, man. That's what you're doing?
Are they running out the butthole?
That's what you're doing?
Are they trying to find their way?
I'm going the other way, bro. I'm going up top.
You're climbing out the mouth?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, well, if we were in this
sitting
situation,
on that tongue waiting for a place to jump, and then I'm jumping for it. You know what I mean?
That's too high. You got to go. The original title of the series actually was Butthole. And then they changed it to Behemoth.
Here's the thing: you're jumping out the mouth.
Don't ruin this for me.
You jump out the mouth; it's a long way down.
No, you wait till he kind of reaches down, and he's at the ground. He's about to open his mouth and eat something. You jump out just then. Perfect.
I don't know. You ever had food in your teeth? You get picked out when your butt.
It's got small hands that can't even reach, bro. What are you talking about?
You think Godzilla can't reach his mouth?
I'm saying he can't. He's not going to be picking his teeth in the middle of a
I actually don't think Godzilla can reach his mouth. Have you ever seen his? He's got like Tyrannosaurus arms.
He's got hamster hands. Agreed.
Oh,
but that's
are you talking about Godzilla '98? Your Godzilla?
If you want to, if maybe he grabs a building and tries to get in there.
I like the one where he can just slide into the sewers for no reason. Where he's tall as buildings and can also just be like a little underground Godzilla.
I'll tell you what, great ad campaign for that movie.
Really, wow. It's a little late for them, Alex, to shout them out, but yes.
Talking about the Taco Bell cup holder that they had? That was
I wasn't
sweet.
talking about that, though. That is pretty good. I was talking about how, at least in New York, they were like, he's as big as bigger than a city bus, and it was just like they'd skin the bus with Godzilla's tail going across it, or like he's bigger than the subway, and same sort of thing. Good stuff.
Oh, wow.
I really enjoyed this issue, Behemoth #1. And the reveal at the end I thought was really organically played out. It felt like a great action movie for so much of the issue that when we got to the
Speed,
twist,
but in Godzilla's stomach.
it's a Speed if the bus just stopped, in the worst spot. But I think the way that it was told felt like not a rug pull, like you were saying, Alex. It might have been. It felt like a natural progression, and they just cut us off in the exciting moment.
Yeah, 100%. I'm talking more in terms of comic structure because we talk about this a lot. That the people are like, here's the pitch for the comic book. Happens on the last page of the first issue. And normally that is annoying, but we get a lot of great monster action throughout. So
Monster action, man.
Monster action. Let's move from monster action to skin action with Skin Police #4 from Oni Press, written by Jordan Thomas, art by Daniel Gete. Yes.
This book is about dermatologists.
Yes. Yeah, they gotta keep the bus going.
You think about it, dermatologists are the skin police of the world.
The hell yeah. No, I want to arrest these aggravated moles I have in my body.
This takes place in a world where clones have been created out of skin. They are called dupes, and we are mostly following a cop who has been tasked with tracking down these dupes and killing them before they can go crazy. But it turns out there's actually some medicine that has been suppressed that can make dupes okay. There's a resistance that's rising against him. By the end, we get a twist that I think we all knew was coming, or at least I assume we all knew was coming, but it's still very satisfying when we get there. I'm really enjoying the satirical nature of this series, but what about you guys?
Yeah, this is a blast. And, it's this great, it's not my favorite dupe, which is dupe from the X-Men, you know what I mean? Where he's a little green floating kind of goblin situation.
Feels unrelated.
Well, we're talking about dupes, are we not?
They're spelled
we
differently,
said dupe
but sure.
A couple different ways.
We say a lot of words that are...
Yeah, well, anyways, when you say dupe, I think of this, and so that's why I'm sharing it. But anyway, I think this kind of comic has been creative enough where it wasn't, like, super obvious that was coming. I think it was still kind of fun. And, great art, interesting story. I'm really loving this, and can't wait to see how this all unfolds. Get it? Because it's like folds of the skin.
Wow.
I did not get that.
That feels like a real stretch, if I may say.
Hey, we're still talking about skin.
Skin does a lot of stuff.
It sure does.
Really leaning into skin is #1 thing is folding?
Hey, give me
is that
some
what
skin.
You're saying? Skin's whole thing isn't folding. You're trying to like take a victory lap for saying that skin folds. And honestly, it doesn't.
Famously, there is a thing that's like, oh yeah, the folds of my skin. You know what I mean? It's a famous thing.
Who says?
It's
that?
like, oh, did you need a soda pop? I keep one in the folds of my skin right here. You know.
Who are you hanging out with? Sorry, did you say soda pap? I'm sorry. What are you talking about? You got a soda pap in your skin folds.
I was almost with you the first time you said it, but every new detail you add, I get farther and farther
exactly.
away.
That's
exactly.
the magic of Hollywood.
I have
Some
like
people originally think, oh, this Pete guy's fun, but then after a while, they're like, no way, man.
I have a spidey sense for nonsense, and I'll tell you what, it went off and it increased in danger, and now I'm at a real DEFCON, you know?
You can't talk to me about spidey sense, man. My spidey sense went off when I saved you.
Skin folds police, got it. I think this is the last issue of this. It feels like we have Skin Police 2 coming in fall 2025. And what a cliffhanger to go out on. I think this is a sci-fi concept that we've seen a lot of. Clones, dupes, oh no.
Yeah.
But there are
the clone is it multiplicity, you know what I mean? It's
multiplicity is definitely the first reference we would all go to when it comes to this book.
Yeah.
The ultimate sci-fi clone story
situation, yeah.
I would say
like
the sixth
pizza?
day.
Oh, nice. Great. 2 great references when it comes to this. But I do think the last couple pages, that the last sort of battle that we get here, I thought was really well done, and I am curious where we're going with. I hope they go into a surprising direction.
The Amazing Spider-Man 65.death. From Marvel, written by Derek Landy, art by Kev Walker. This is spinning out of the last issue of Spider-Man, where Spider-Man was presented with the deaths of all of his loved ones and proceeded to quit. Here, we're getting a riff on that, but it's actually mostly a Phil Coulson comic because Phil Coulson is now death, and he is grappling and dealing with that while he's trying to talk Spider-Man into being a hero. Justin, I know you're not a big fan of the whole Phil Coulson of it all, but you do generally like Derek Landy, so how'd you feel about this?
Well, here's the thing. I think this is a good issue. Like, I like this thing of Phil Coulson being tasked with being death, and then we have Doctor Strange being like, hey, Peter's scared of death now. He's been deadened by having died so many times and experiencing the deaths of all of his friends. Can you help out your friend? Like, this is a fun story here.
What?
This is a good story here.
No.
It's not fun. It's sort of a
not
dark
fun.
path.
It's very sad and
But
depressing.
I think Peter Parker has been fully disillusioned with life over the course of this run. And that's an interesting place. It's something we haven't really seen him go to. He's all about resilience, and to have him be laid low like this is cool. And I'm very much looking forward to the next issue without the
you're just
deaths
excited
tag.
you're just excited for the next issue. That's all.
Spider-Man and Black Cat making out on the side of a building. Very cool.
Yeah. Or
Here's
he
my
was
criticism.
sadly eating pizza.
Here's my criticism of the whole Phil Coulson thing. I feel like it used to be when we were trying to make a change like this, it was like setting up what the Death Stone was and about how it fit into the universe. And then we get a reveal that it's Phil Coulson. And that's like, whoa, stunning. I feel like they did a lot around the Infinity Gauntlet and like what that meant. And it felt important. With this whole Phil Coulson being death, it was sort of like, he's death, he has the Death Stone, so that's what he does now. And I was like, what? Like, is he the Grim Reaper? If it just feels confusing, and it deadens the impact of what this could be. Because the Death Stone is something that was created, like 6 months ago. It doesn't mean he's the Grim Reaper. That's something that's never been true in the past. There is a character called Death. There is a character called Grim Reaper. What are we doing here? And it feels like everything was yada yada'd for the purpose of just getting this done. And I, as a reader, want to be like, hey, take the time to tell this. This is a good story, and I'm sure someone could do it well. But now we're left with this thing that I'm confused about, and it hurts the emotionality of this issue.
I think there was a choice made that was like, wouldn't it be messed up if Phil Coulson was death?
100%.
And then someone was like, yeah, and that's what they did.
Agree, but in the past they've taken time to tell that story.
I think it also compounds it that it's Phil Coulson, a character who, granted, has been in the comics now for a little while and done some major things in the storylines, but still to me feels like, yeah, this is an MCU character that you put in here. So maybe this is my own prejudice, but he still doesn't feel like a Marvel Comics character proper.
Oh.
So he doesn't. He feels like I don't know who he is. Like I barely know who he is in the MCU also. So I don't know. There's a lot of
that's ridiculous saying you don't know who Phil Coulson is. Phil Coulson is all
guy.
of us. He's a regular guy who's a fan of comic books, so much so he collects the cards and is that kind of nerdy.
Tell us another fact about him. The trading cards thing, yes. Tell us another fact about Phil Coulson's life.
He got to learn how to shoot a gun he wasn't familiar with, just as he saved the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. He loves getting stabbed. He loves getting stabbed.
I don't think he loves it.
Yeah.
Anyways, can I talk about this book real quick?
Yeah.
If that's okay?
Sure.
Okay, so first off, creepy cover, and it made me scared to read it. And then after I read it, I wish I'd listened to myself and not read it, because the cover lets you know, don't read this, because this is sad as shit. And then you got sad Coulson talking with Peter, who is then crazy sad. And then he's eating a pizza by himself on the wall, which is the saddest thing I've ever seen him do.
Wall pizza, dude? Very good. That's the saddest thing you've ever seen him do.
Dude, he's by himself. He's by himself trying to eat a whole pizza. He's just like, yo, man, I'm going to eat my sadness away. And I'm like, bro, he's going through it. He's even taking his shoes off.
That works, though.
But hold on. A whole pizza is a sad amount of pizza to eat. So what's the line?
It's a sad amount of pizza, but that's what I'm saying is the first piece of pizza, you're like, Yeah. But then when you get to the second or third pizza, the major feeling you have is full. Like you are too full at that point, and it distracts from the sadness. It's the same like if you hurt yourself somewhere, hurt yourself somewhere else so you don't feel that first hurt.
Well, Alex, I actually don't know what you're saying, but let me. I'm curious about this pizza scale. Like, Pete, where are we on like? How many slices is half?
What the fuck was that? Are you all right? Did you have a stroke?
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't think going to New Orleans for 3 days and not sleeping and then coming back and taping a comic book review show was a good idea.
Oh, sorry. That's definitely the idea, though. You know what you need is, I want to say 4 slices of pizza? Pete, are we cool with that? Is that a happy amount?
What's the number, Pete?
I don't know what's going on.
Give us a
man.
number.
I'm just saying, if you take down a whole pizza by yourself, you're not having a good day. Okay.
Well, have you ever taken down a whole pizza? Full
yes,
pie?
we've all done it.
So give us the scale then. Out of 8, classic 8 slice, what's the number from happy to sad?
What do you mean? Like if you have only 2 slices, you're still okay?
Do you not understand this? When you're eating the pizza, are you saying after the 4th slice you should have stopped? That's happy to sad?
No, if you eat the whole pie, man. If you've eaten the whole pie,
so 7 slices, you're like, I'm good.
Listen, this is a lot of back and forth. Next week, Amazing Spider-Man 65.pizza is coming out, and we'll get the definitive answer.
Exactly.
Right? So let's just wait for that. Why don't we talk about the next comic, which is The Nice House by the Sea, number 5 from DC Comics, written by James Tynion IV, art by Alvaro Martinez Bueno. In this issue, things are really heating up in our 2 houses as the Nice House by the Sea has found out about the Nice House by the Lake. They know there are other houses that are being tested, and they don't want to wait to find out who is going to win this contest. We got a big mythology dump in, I think it was the last issue. And I got to say that is really paying dividends here in terms of focusing this series up and making the tension even higher. I thought this was a great issue as usual. But I just love the characterization. Now that it feels like we've sort of pulled the cover back and revealed what this is all about, we can really start going down the other end of the roller coaster.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's been, there's a lot of characters in this book with the 2 nice houses, and I'm starting to think neither of these houses are particularly nice. Really, what's happening with these characters? Have you thought
know what
about
the real estate value is in those neighborhoods? I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Well, here's the thing: there's no one alive on Earth except for these houses, so. Yes, there's definitely a shortage of both housing and humans to occupy the houses.
Right.
But I do like the way this is going.
Where you want the market.
Yeah, that's where you want the market. I want to say on page 3, we have a line, I think he likes you. He wanted you to like the movie he picked. And then we see a frame of a movie. Did you guys notice this?
No.
Yes, I don't remember what it was.
It's Twin Peaks! Shouts to Twin Peaks.
It was Twin Peaks. Yes.
It's hard to identify, I feel like, but it's a nice frame for my want to say Fire Walk with Me or the end of the Twin Peaks original show.
It's Twin Peaks!
That I thought was a very cool choice there. I think the art is great. The story's great. It's epic. It's big. And I like that I'm in the middle of it.
This is creepy as fuck and amazing art. And JT4 does it again.
Finders Keepers, number 1 from Image Comics, written by Vita Ayala, art by Skylar Patridge. This is the last issue of the Horizon experiment that gives different cultural looks at classic genres. Here we're getting reverse Indiana Jones, which means he wears his hat on his feet, and instead of a whip, he uses a sword. No, it's something different? Okay.
I think it's something different than that.
Right. It's about a low-level worker at a museum who ends up stealing artifacts back from the museum to return them to the place that they came from. I was really looking forward to this based on the concept alone. How do you guys think it panned out in the actual issue?
Well, I mean, Finders Keepers is a tough argument, you know what I mean? Because just because you found it doesn't mean it's, yours, you know what I mean?
Have you read Losers Weepers?
Oh, yeah, that's even tougher discussion to get into, but I'll do it if you want.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have a hot take on the amount of weeping that the Losers are doing.
This is very cool. I really love the art. Cool, like, history to this story. Very much enjoyed it. Intense on many levels, but also main character was very cool, so I'm excited for what's to come.
I actually hope, because this is a one-off, so I hope there would be more to come, because I think this is a great premise. I like the character, but it felt a little rushed. I wish we had, I wish this was a 4-issue series or beyond, because it feels like this premise is great. Like, it makes sense. It takes something like Indiana Jones and undercuts it and modernizes it in a way that it makes me feel good. It's true. It should be like, there's that line, like, it belongs in a museum, and from Last Crusade, and it's like, no, it belongs probably with the people who made it, when you think about it. And that's what this book is all about. And I just wish we had time to get to know this character and see the adventure play out in a realistic way. And this feels like we just moved too quickly through it.
But it's also like, to get into it with you, you know what I mean? If it belongs in a museum with those people who made it, you know, it kind of still belongs in a museum. It's just, whose museum are we talking about?
No.
Well, a lot of people don't have museums.
Well, it's true, but I mean, what are you going to do? Just go to, like, Italy and dump off a thing? Like, this is for you guys because it's yours. You know what I mean?
No, I think you're bringing it.
It's probably going to be in a museum in Italy, you know, so that way people...
So you're talking about some sort of Italian artifact.
I'm just using it as an example.
No. Certainly the main issue that everybody has is things taken from Italy.
Oh, yeah.
I was just...
Like a nice pizza.
Yeah. How
That's
many
offensive
slices?
what you're doing.
How many slices are you saying? And pizza, famously, or pasta stolen from China, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. Was spicy meatballs, were those also taken from China, or?
Gotta do the research.
Gotta do finders keepers too, losers to reapers. We'll find out. From the world of Minor Threats, The Brood, #2, written by Heath Corson, story platting by Heath Corson, Patton Oswalt, and Jordan Bloom, art by I.N.J. Culberd. We are following the world's smartest man, specifically a supervillain, who has found out he is dying, and one of his 3 kids is going to supplant him. This issue, we're focusing on his daughter, who is probably the world's smartest woman, and is coming from a science tech perspective to try to live up to his legacy. I like this issue even better than the first one. I love how this is developing, and it feels like a very different take on this world than the other Minor Threats series.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys with daughters could very much relate to this. I thought it was very sweet, the relation that we get in this.
Yes, as a father of daughters, I really related to this.
Yeah, love the art. Because eventually they're going to take over as your evil empire, so you got to get them trained up.
Soon. My daughter's taking over this. She's going to be in this box pretty soon.
Well, I can't wait.
Here.
We'll really class up the joint.
And our 2 daughters.
Oh, do you think you'll be able to say like fuck you to our kids as much as you say to us?
Oh, no problem. No problem whatsoever.
Now that's a superpower.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll talk them through all the running jokes, like number and the pizza. And
no, we can discover our own fun running jokes. It'll be a fresh take.
I don't think so.
Interesting story. I love the twists and turns we get in this. And the flashbacks were really cool. Really solid issue. I'm excited for more.
To going off what you said, Alex, this does feel very different than a lot of the other stuff in the Minor Threats universe. It almost feels a bit standalone, but it's still very good. Like, it's really the different flavors from just the first 2 issues is really strong. Like, I like both of them, and this I'm assuming we're going to continue with different types of stories as we hit the other characters that are in line for this potential inheritance.
Can I throw out why it might feel different? Is it because they are major threats?
Yeah, I do think so. It's I guess you could say that the kids
seriously.
are. No, I hear you. Like, we're coming at it from the other side. These are major supervillains, major supervillain, but I think the family members, you could argue, are minor threats. But I think from a storytelling perspective, it's much more top down than sort of bottom up, like the other stories in this world have been.
Storm number 4 from Marvel, written by Murray Ayodele, art by Lucas Wernick. In this issue, Storm has 1 day left of not using her powers, otherwise she is going to die. Unfortunately, she has been invited to dinner by Dr. Doom, a prospect that could drive anybody to want to fight back. Another awesome issue of this book from every aspect, not only the characterization of Dr. Doom and Storm, but the art is phenomenal throughout. Like, some of the panels are absolutely insane. This is great.
I'm having a blast with this Storm comic. This is really awesome. This is such a fun, interesting, cool use of Storm, and this sit down with Dr. Doom was intense and all the right things. I really touching flashbacks, just really very moving stuff. I'm really having a blast with this Storm comic.
Yeah, it's really good. It's taken the biggest swings of any of the X-Men comics in the post-Krakoa world. And I was talking about how DC Comics is doing such a good job of just playing out their big moves, pacing out everything they're doing in a post-all-in world. And I feel like Marvel hasn't been as successful as making their books feel important, but this book is doing it. Putting Storm at dinner with Dr. Doom feels like the only title that's getting into Doom when Doom is the next big thing. And I feel like every book has been very distant from Doom, and this feels important. It feels like Storm is just this title is grinding up story. Storm is moving through so many things so quickly in a really dynamic, exciting way, and the art is fantastic.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out. I don't know if you guys read the note in the back from Murwa Ayodele, where he talks about the book a little bit. Maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but I believe he was saying that Tom Brevoort, who is the editor, told them the initial inciting event of the first issue that makes Storm sick, that was initially going to be the end of the first arc, and Tom was like, no, that's where we start. That's where we start the book. So great note there, because that has given this such a ticking time bomb. The end of the issue is sick, and I just also want to mention, the designs of the costumes from Lucas Wernick are great, down to when she comes out of the dress that Dr. Doom has picked from her. My breath hitched a little bit. I was like, oh, wow.
And I feel like
the knives are a great touch too. But I also want to just say real quickly, there was going to be a second letters page where Jordan D. White took a ride with him in the elevator, and he was like, or you could also do the whole idea too, because that's also kind of cool.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, no idea what you're talking about. But this was just great.
Yeah. All right, Challengers of the Unknown, number 2 from DC Comics, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Sean Isaacs, Jorge Fornes, and Aman K. Nahulpen. In this issue, we're focusing on another one of the Challengers, June, I believe, who created a giant evil robot back in the day, and now that is back. She's teaming up with Batman and Aquaman, who are way less magnanimous than Superman when it comes to going on missions. And meanwhile, Mr. Terrific's suspicions about exactly what's going on with the Challengers only build. Justin, you've been giving big ups to DC all show today. What about this one?
Same. I love this issue. This is a little bit of a throwback. I love the different artists that are brought in here to reflect the different time periods. This Ultivac is the big robot, and just feels like a great character. The way that they are burying these bigger ideas, the Ultivac connects to Darkseid in a way where I'm like, Darkseid is the focus and the apex predator of the DC universe, especially right now. And anytime we get to touch on that, it feels important. And this issue does a great job of making everything feel important. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's happening, but I'm super engaged by what's happening. It felt like a Kurt Vonnegut short story, and it's really good.
Oh, dude, that's your sweet spot. You love the Von.
Yeah, that's why I call him the Von.
Yeah.
Pete, do you love the Von?
I love this issue. I thought, first off, cool cover. Just wondering, when you guys see Under Pressure, do you guys sing it, or is that just me? Just me? Okay. Just checking.
The words under pressure.
Oh, on the cover.
Like this. Yeah. Pressure!
Under pressure. Anyways, this is a fun team. Hutton, evil thinking robot, great art and action. This is very enjoyable.
Shadow of the Golden Crane, #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Chris Roberson, art by Michael Avon Oeming. This is going back in time to when Hellboy was still alive.
Come on!
Going on a mission that turns out to be very personal for one member of the team. Pete, you seem psyched. Take it away.
Yeah, I think it was the last stack, or maybe the stack before, we were talking about how much we miss Hellboy. It was like Dark Horse was listening and was like, don't you worry about it. You're going to get a flashback and get to hang out with Hellboy again. And this was glorious. This was so much fun to be back with Hellboy. And first off, love the cover. It got me very excited about what's to come. And yeah, this is just amazing art, blast of a story. Solid-ish total package.
Wow, total package. I agree. This was fun. Like, it's a good story. It features Hellboy, but
yeah, he's there.
He's definitely there.
And if you miss him, it's just great just to kind of be in his presence again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't you want to? If you miss somebody, you really want to get some time with them. And it feels like we get to have Hellboy just sort of like, hanging out at the other side of the party.
Well,
he's sort of like at the party, but he's like sort of by the hummus.
Yeah, but sometimes you get in a conversation with somebody and you're just like, oh man, you kind of get pulled into another conversation. And it's like, you're all still at the party. You're all having fun. It's just.
Yeah, I guess I just want to, if I'm going to see Hellboy at a party, I want to be with him at the hummus rather than be down over by.
Yeah, but you get to look up and be like, oh yeah, there's my boy right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but our whole thing was hanging out, was like really getting after like dips with our guy, and if he's by the hummus, I want to be with him at the hummus.
I thought, on a similar note, Michael Avon Oeming is a great fit for this world. His art slots right in, so that was really nice to see. The Mood is Following Us, #5 from Image Comics, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, art by Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rosmo. In previous issues, some big stuff has been going down as two parents try to save their daughter from her dream world. There's some more twists and heartbreak and turns that happen in this issue. Pete, DWJ and RR are your boys. So what do you think about this?
It's a dream team situation. This continues to be high-level comics. I mean, that the Toads... spoilers, but that Toad tank entrance was fucking badass, bro.
The Toad tank.
Yeah, I mean, first off, cool cover, setting a great tone. This was an action-packed-ish, right down to the last panel, man. This is great stuff. Love the art, love the action, love the pace of this, love the world, love everything about this. This is just peak comics, baby.
You said peak comics?
Peak.
It feels also like Pete Comics. I think we've seen this just concept a lot lately of like humans dipping into the fantasy world and trying to fight their way through it. So I feel a little bit burned by the idea, but I think it lands really nicely in this issue. It makes me want to know a little bit more about it, but I guess it's hard to blame this comic specifically for burnout on the idea of like people entering a fantasy world and having to figure it out. But it does I feel a little bit of that in reading this.
Interesting. Why don't we move on and talk about...
What about you, Alex? What did you think about that comic?
Why don't we move on?
Wow.
I really like this team. This is not working for me.
We can just move on.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The battle scenes are, I think, messy. Like I love
sometimes battles are messy, bro.
Love Riley Rosmo's art, but there's too much going on here, and we're moving both too quickly, and there's not enough story for me to figure out who to care about or who to focus on. Like, I don't really know this frog, and we're 5 issues in.
It's a toad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should remember because of his wet sprocket, right?
Well, no, because he yelled
Wow.
that as he was murdered, motherfucker. Remember his
All right.
last words. Throw some
He
respect.
did get his arm or leg torn off in a very
That's
aggressive way.
cool. And the twists and turns of like villain reveal in this issue, I was like, sure, you did mention that thing several issues back, but I don't know what that means yet. Like there have been I love the first issue of this, and every subsequent issue, the parents are so in the background. The daughter is asleep the entire time. So like there's nobody really to hold on to here or care about. It's a bummer.
But parents belong in the background, man. You know, it's not about them anymore.
Parents belong in a museum. Alien
Whose museum,
Paradiso. I don't know, a parrot museum in Italy. Alien Paradiso #2 from Marvel, written by Steve Fox, art by Edgar Salazar. The whole idea here is a bunch of xenomorphs accidentally get released in a island paradise for not planet paradise for criminals, a resort, and we're meanwhile following a bunch of undercover cops who are trying to catch a criminal at the same time. This is pretty fun.
Pretty fun. You know, we've seen a lot of alien stories. I recently watched Romulus, great movie, and
Ooh.
a lot of these stories are pretty close to the original take. And I actually like that this is laying on a little bit of genre with crime procedurally stuff here, and that helps to make this feel different.
Sometimes if you lay on too much John, though, it gets a little distracting. You know what I mean? I
What a
feel
way
like
to
it's-
shorten genre.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the perfect amount of genre where it's not overpowering.
And that's what you say when you're
dish.
having a nice spaghetti dinner, right? Don't lay on the Jean too hard.
I feel like you could be
Who
talking
are
about
you?
Dijon mustard when you say Jean.
Okay.
Like a
I
spicy
thought
mustard.
Parmesan was what I was thinking.
Yes. Look at us, different culinary takes.
I think this is fun. I like the kind of twist at the end. Great art. Yeah, I mean, this really feels like an alien kind of situation. And I agree with Justin. I'm glad it gets a little different at times because just we've seen it done so much. So I think it does a good enough job of kind of giving us something new that it feels good.
Jenny Sparks, #6 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Jeff Spokes. In this issue, once again, we're following two timelines here. Jenny Sparks is finally moving in and trying to settle things once and for all with Captain Atom, who has taken over a bar and decided that he wants to be God. Meanwhile, the dark part of the 20th century that we're following here is COVID, where Jenny Sparks tries to demand that Superman solve COVID, and he can't.
Here's the thing about COVID. Not in the 20th century.
21st century. Sorry, that was my
Yeah.
fault.
Oh yeah. So like we talked about this a little bit in the earlier issues about how it feels like this is about Jenny Sparks being a 20th century character, grappling 21st century things and feeling out of sorts with them. And how I think we're meant to identify with that we feel out of sorts with these things, and it's about maybe that tension. But on top of that, the Captain Atom stuff feels like it's a reflection of that. Like Captain Atom being like a 20th century type villain, being deployed in the 21st century, and no one knowing how to deal with that. Interesting themes. I feel like I need a rallying point from a storytelling POV, or just like something pointed at in this to be like, yes, here's what we're getting toward. Because I like the ideas. The art in this book is amazing, very cool, very smart stuff, but it feels just a little bit like I'm missing one detail about like where we're landing with this. And in that way, some of Tom King's work I think can be a little bit backloaded and being too coy, and this feels like it's just a little bit there, which is harder to grasp onto, but I still enjoy the run here.
Go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say, Justin said what I was going to say in a nicer manner. I just feel like almost messed with at this point, where like they're holding information in a way that is mocking me, where they're just almost like, you still don't know what's going on. I'm like, dude, how many more issues of this do I got to read before I can figure out what the fuck this is about? Because I'm not having fun at this point.
Here's the thing. I read this issue, and I want to know more about Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman's relationship. Like, we're just not getting enough here.
How dare you? That's not even a part of this.
It's not. It's not. She's dead. I agree with you guys. I like the art in this. It's being very, very coy with what's going on. We have one more issue, so hopefully it does stick that landing, and we look back and go, oh, okay, I see what the arc here is. I see what they were going for, so we'll know more when that comes out next month. I will throw out one quibble, and not to be like rewrite anything that Tom King is doing, but the scene where Superman talks to Jenny Sparks and he's wearing a mask, and she's like, why are you wearing a mask? You can't get hurt. And his explanation is, oh, what if I did get COVID and it mutated into some super virus or something like that? I don't think that's why Superman would wear a mask. Superman would wear a mask because he's trying to be an example to other people, and he's trying to show off we should all be wearing masks because we need to be thinking about each other, because that's what real heroes and people did during COVID, and many continue to do. So it didn't really clock to me to be like, nope, I might get a super disease. That's why. You know, particularly because, like, the action had him handing her a mask over and over again.
Well, I feel like he was saying he might be a literal super spreader.
Sure. Yes, that is what he's saying. But I do think if there is an idea apparent here, it's between the separation between superheroes and reality. And Superman is the representation of superheroes. Jenny Sparks is like, fuck no, we got to deal with the reality that we're trapped inside because of COVID. That's what this is. This is dark and this sucks and everything sucks. So him being like, also, this might suck worse with me, puts him on that same level versus him presenting that hope and her puncturing it constantly.
Well, but I think the point is that the 21st century problems, 20th century thinking has not worked for 21st century problems. And so I think that's what that is sort of trying to get across.
All right. All I'm saying is I really could have plussed up this issue. I could have given some good notes if anybody had asked me, but I guess they didn't, so oh well. Feral #9 from Image Comics, written by Tony Fleeks, art by Trish Forster and Tone Rodriguez. In this issue, we're continuing the arc where our cats are trapped in a house with a lady who is...
Look at this cover, dude. This is crazy.
It is a crazy cover.
And you're a cat guy.
There's a lot of cats under the stairs with their glowing eyes, and they find out things go from bad to worse in this crazy cat lady house.
Yeah, you got to be Tony freaking kidding me. This story keeps getting turned up to 11. Just when you think it can't get any crazier, it does. And I don't know how much you want to spoil in this, but amazing art, intense. It's this kind of like gives you this cartoony animation style you love from Disney, and then just puts these characters through the fucking ringer, and oh man, edge of your seat type stuff. This continues to be so intense, and I feel feral after reading it.
Shouts to the amount of movement this story has had in 9 issues, from something that like
that's true.
It was very much like house pets that are escaping from a situation, and that part of the zombie movie, to a very different type of zombie story here. Yeah, and shouts to the toxoplasmosis definition at the end, which I thought was a fun way of bringing the story and fear really into reality in a good way.
Star Trek's Lower Decks, #3 from IDW, written by Ryan North, art by Jack Lawrence. In this issue, the crew of the Cerritos is presented with a chunk of space that seems to have disappeared that they need to go investigate.
Space junk.
Space junk. I said chunk.
Yeah. Junk.
Space junk. Yeah. Is Space Chunk doing the Space Truffle Shuffle, Pete? There you go.
Dream.
I got him.
You got him.
I love this. I mean, I love Lower Decks. I also love everything that Ryan North does, and this is a classic Ryan North comedy book. I say it incessantly here, but when he does this thing where he just packs every page with jokes down to the little footnotes at the bottom, it is so worth it. Like, just from a monetary perspective, this and I say this complimentarily, this is the longest I spent reading a comic book in our stack today. So from the perspective of putting down your money, I'm like, great, you are 100% getting your money's worth.
So if you're saying if you're not sure if you want to spend money on a comic, the jokes per panel and per page are so worth it. It's just economically responsible to buy this, is what you're saying.
And I think that's a good pull quote for the cover. Is it is economically responsible to buy this?
Yeah,
economically responsible is quite a term, and what everyone wants.
And the last
be.
thing that I'll say is, I was particularly struck in this issue. He really nails the voice of Rutherford, which is Eugene Cordero's character. Great.
Wow. Shouts to Eugene. Great, funny man.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. This is like, especially classic Ryan North. Ryan North's run on Adventure Time from like, I don't know, at this point, like 12 years ago was so good. And this calls back to that. But what struck me in this issue is this is also calling on Ryan North's Fantastic Four run, bringing some like good science thinking into this comic and really letting us be there for the problem, which I think the best Star Trek The Next Generation episodes do, is present a problem and then we get to see everybody solve it and try to solve it.
I think it's hard to keep coming up with new stuff to say about this, but I think it does such a great job of taking something that you know and love, like the animated show, and then putting it in comic book form and having fun with that form in a similar style, like Justin or like Alex is talking about, like packing it with jokes, just kind of like really having fun with the comic form. I think it's just such a great example of this.
Exceptional X-Men, number 5 from Marvel, written by Eve L. Ewing, art by Carmen Canero. In the previous issue, the students all found out that Kitty Pryde had killed a bunch of dudes during the previous X-Men runs and her appearances, particularly during the Orcus War, and they're very bummed out about it. I gotta say, at the beginning of the issue, I didn't quite buy that the kids would be that upset about this revelation.
Yes.
But by the end, it really worked for me. Like, I think we went on a journey with these characters and it came around to a nice place by the end of the issue.
Well, I hear you, because I was like, they're very judgmental at the front end without understanding what was going on, and we don't get the... I think it would have worked for me a little bit more if the characters were like, am I here to kill people? Because that felt like it would have landed with them, where it's sort of like when you walk up to someone who's been through, like a veteran, you wouldn't be like, you killed people? I'm mad at you. It's like, no, that's what happened to them. So, like, it would be more like, if I'm in this, how is this going to be about me? And I feel like that would have just been the one little clock turn that I think would have made this really make sense to me. Because I agree with you, they're so mean to Kitty Pryde at the top, and she takes it so hard when I'm like, I don't know. It felt like almost a retcon of what was happening.
Problem is, people did get that when they came home from wars. You know what I mean? Whether it was like Vietnam or a lot of different things, people do say that to people who are in the military. And it is awful to kind of be able to sum up somebody's life or think you can judge them like that. So it's a very
100%. But I'm saying, like, I don't think that's what this story wants to be about.
Yeah.
This feels like it's about these characters. And to your point, Alex, like, I think when we got to be with them in their homes a little bit more from the back half of the book, like, it felt like I start to identify with them a little bit more. And it felt like it was much more about, like, what am I getting myself into, rather than judging someone about what they've been through in their lives.
I didn't like this because they kind of really spoiled it on the cover, which I thought was a bummer. I hate when you kind of know what's going to happen after looking at the cover. But yeah, I mean, just her and Emma Frost is not as fun, but great art.
All right. Nightwing 122 from DC Comics, written by Dan Watters, art by Dexter Soy. Nightwing is trying to fight back against a old enemy of his who we find out the origin of, or at least the origin of their relationship with him back in the day.
Circus.
The circus.
Fucking circus.
Dude, the circus,
Always
when you think
is,
you're
man.
done with the circus, dude, it pulls you back in, dude. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if you just go to the circus, you're in it.
Oh, you're a carny,
But
bro.
I did like this. I like this tie. I like this origin here. The villain is extremely weird and interesting and very different than the previous run. And that's kind of what I was not getting for the first bit here, is it felt like it was being too careful to just continue Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's run. Now we're getting some of the Dan Waters weirdness, and I'm really digging it a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think this is the more woolly and more different this gets, I'm more excited by. It was funny to me that him going into the abandoned Titan's Tower, like, what are they going to do with that real estate? Like, and I know that it isn't the classic T building, I don't think, in Bloodhaven.
No,
but like,
it is. It's the classic T building.
Yeah,
see,
you
that's
gotta
the
go
thing.
with the classic T.
How are you going to buy that unless your name is Justin Tyler? Hello, what's for me?
JT Sizzle buys it all day.
Yeah, Tyler Industries. Rex Tyler, our man. My
Oh,
uncle.
man. This is going to be like
Nailed it.
Roxanne all over again. Yeah, this kicks ass. Love the flashback stuff. And, anytime you're getting bats and robs, it's a good time. Yeah.
That's short for Batman and Robin?
Yeah. And I just think that I agree with the Zalbatron and what he's saying about this kind of interesting villain build-up. I think they're doing a good job of building this up, and I feel like hopefully it'll pay off. But, yeah, Nightwing continues to be a solid staple for DC, and they're delivering.
Summer Shadows, #4 from Dark Horse Comics, written by John Harris Dunning, art by Ricardo Cabral, is the final issue of this book about a man who is looking for his boyfriend who has been taken in by a cult of vampires. All is revealed in this issue, and I thought there was a great build-up here. I know we talked about it was a little wobbly in the first issue or two, exactly what was going on, but I think it really focused in by the end. We got some gross monster reveals and some really harrowing scenes as well. I really enjoyed this series.
What's going on? First, Justin's talking about woolly. Now you're talking about wobbly. You guys playing like an alphabet game? What the fuck's going on?
Oh, yes, we're playing a high-stakes alphabet game.
Oh, okay, cool. Just
Where
checking.
there could be only one survivor.
Yeah, and it's like a Squid Game, but for different alphabet stuff. Alex is winning, so I died tonight.
Congrats.
That's what I want.
Oh, my
boy.
God.
Oh,
That was
boy.
worth so many points in this high-stakes alphabet game.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I'm going to say some stuff.
Okay, great.
I really like the way this ended. I thought the last couple scenes were really well done. But I will say, leading up to it, it felt like a all Jaws, if it was all Quins. They were all just like, they're like, that's vampires. Everyone's like, vampires.
those
Nah,
vampires.
it can't be vampires. No, it's not vampires. And I'm like, well, it's definitely vampires. And they get there and it's definitely vampires. I was like, why did you say it wasn't vampires? And then our protagonist runs out of the big island party and it's all the Quins on the ship. And they're like, how did that go? And I was like, what is the plan here? So, like, there were some logistics that I didn't quite get, but I did really like from that point on.
Well, anyways, first off, badass cover here. I also love the font choice with the pointy kind of letters that's just really setting up this vampire tease in a fun way.
Because they're like deep?
Yeah, right? Looks cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we get to kind of see the boyfriend. We've been talking about the boyfriend, and boyfriends are tricky. You know, sometimes you think they're just going to a party, then it's a vampire cult, and it's like you gotta keep an eye on these freaking guys. I tell you what. But anyways, we get to see him, and he's in full vampire mode, and man, you know they barely make it out of there. But it's just I think it was like an interesting way to kind of come to the conclusion. I really love the landing of this in this issue. Just great art, solid story. This was fun.
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #2 from Marvel, written by Christos Gage, art by Eric Gabster. This ties into the upcoming animated series, and we were, if I remember correctly, very iffy about the first issue, which seemed confusing given everything that we know or don't know about the animated series. What about this issue? How did we feel about this?
I mean, your friendly neighborhood Nico is really what we're doing here.
Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot that Nico is in this, and she's also in the animated series, and that's too much Nico for anybody.
I'm just surprised how much the rise of Nico in the Marvel comics.
Nico.
She's in two comic books.
We want Nico.
She's
Make it up.
Yeah. She's a
sorry.
runaway.
What about Spider-Man, the other character in this comic book? He
seems busy too.
Yes.
He seems busy too.
But he's in the right amount of comic books.
No. I'm not saying nothing's right or wrong here. It's just funny to me. But what I am saying about that, I actually like Nico in this book. A great counterpoint to Peter Parker. They match really nicely, and I think I enjoyed this issue. I think the slower pace for Peter Parker deciding to do stuff through, if we're going to tell the Spider-Man origin, I like they're at least exploring it a bit and having him, for instance, have like 2 scuba tanks of web fluid, and he's like, this is not a good idea. This is not working for me. So that part is cool. I will say it's an interesting villain choice for the second issue here, where they're like straight up goofy. They're like, because we get Crusher Hogan, which is straight out of the classic origin, but then the rest of the villains are so old timey.
Fancy Dan, Montana.
Yeah, it just felt. I was like, you're doing
guys.
Old timey on old timey, and it felt sort of strange to me.
It's like a hat on a hat, is what you're saying?
A little bit. And like it's like wearing 2 bowlers.
I gotta say, it's weird to me this wasn't the first issue, because the first issue was like, here we are, he's Spider-Man, let's go, you know this, you've seen the animated series. And I was like, I have not, it is not on yet, I have no idea what's going on here. And this one was like, took it back to Spider-Man Origins in a way that I understood better what was going on, but it also didn't seem to follow directly from the first issue. So it almost felt like there was a printing error where they released these in the wrong order or something like that. I know that's not what happened, but
man, that's a great pull quote for this comic.
Yeah.
Maybe a printing error. Alex Albin, comic book.
Anyway, I enjoyed this. I like this. I thought this was fun.
Other than the printing error.
Other than the enormous printing error that definitely happened.
I like how he's a webhead in this. I think, we've heard him called webhead, and in the cover he's wearing web on his head, so I think it's very fun.
Let me ask you a question, though, because he's got web on his head. Do you think, is there a reason he's not going like, ugh? You know that thing you do when you walk through a spider web?
Yeah, but he's accepting it and he's just engulfing himself, and so you got that much on you. Maybe it's not as kind.
Yeah, but it feels weird on your nose. Like, you think it feels weird on his nose?
Maybe not when
Sticky.
it's covering everything. Maybe not. But I had to itch it just talking about it. So
That's what I'm saying.
Visceral. Yeah. I got to shout out the Spider-Man No More reference. That's like 5 pages into this. Very fun.
Yeah, that made me laugh. Batman and Robin, Year 1, number 4 from DC Comics, written by Mark Waid, art by Chris Samney. In this issue, Batman and Robin continue to fight against the Generalissimo. I don't think that's actually his name, but he is a general who is trying to take over the criminal empire of Gotham in a methodical and army-forward way, is how we would all refer to it.
Oh,
Pete,
an army-forward way.
I believe you had called your shot on this one on the live show. So what'd you think about it?
Well, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. I did talk about how I was looking forward to this, and it delivered. First off, great Samney cover. I love a great Samney cover. This delivers on that. This continues to be a blast. I love the kind of young Dick Grayson, battling being a kid and having to do stuff like a normal kid complains and doesn't want to go to school. And then we have Batman versus Grimaldi, which, as we all know, is a great pizza spot in New York City. Mm-hmm. And I love this version of Bats and Robs. So this is fun. I'm having a blast with this.
Really pushing your shortening of names out there. Yes, it's not Generalissimo. It is the Grimaldi family, another Italian crime family to be.
Well, real quick, though, do you prefer Grimaldi's or Joe's?
Ooh, I'm going Grimaldi's.
Grimaldi's?
Well, let me say Joe's Pizza on 14th Street. That's what you're talking about, Alex?
I was talking about the one in the West Village.
Yeah, the West
Wait, am I thinking of
Village
John's?
Yes, you're thinking of John's.
Oh, yeah, John's. Sorry, not Joe's.
Joe's is in the on 14th, sort of in the East
The
Village.
sit down.
Nope. I think John's is the sit down.
John's is the down. It's on Bleecker Street.
Yes, and they don't do slices. Joe's does slices. A lot of celebrities on there. Very good. Grimaldi's, Brooklyn, but Grimaldi's had a split in the family. Not to be like the pizza freak on this podcast.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Grimaldi's had a bit of a split in the family, and now it sort of doesn't exist anymore.
Oh,
so
no.
you'd be hard pressed to track down a Grimaldi's pizza. I know, Pete, you live in the country, so you didn't even. The pizza's like a bread.
What are you
like a
talking
flat
about?
Like, imagine the regular raccoon that you get flattened off the road from a car.
Yeah.
You like to cover it
dare
in pizza.
you, sir.
Imagine you put tomato sauce and cheese on it. That's what a pizza is.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, and you got to toss the raccoon in the air to stretch it out, and then you lay the cheese on top of it.
Yeah.
You
go,
big
"Hey,
city
that's
folks.
a spicy
You do
pizza."
everything so well. Oh, jeez.
I like this issue. What I especially like about it is the equal time they give to the mystery, the superhero stuff, and Robin just being stressed about his regular life, which was really nice. I didn't expect that, and it's really nice.
Witchblade #7 from Top Cow and Image Comics, written by Marguerite Bennett, art by Giuseppe Cafaro. I know Pete and I were hyped through the roof for this because this issue was introducing Jackie Estacado, aka The Darkness. I gotta tell you, not a lot of it. The Darkness in this issue.
Nope.
Given his prominence here.
But on the cover, shout out on the cover.
But you don't like that when it's spoiled on the cover.
Yeah, you hate that.
just
It's a
said
reverse spoil. It doesn't happen in the comics. You like being fooled.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, but something
I did think it was very funny. They
There.
were like, he's coming. The darkness is coming. And then he's literally just standing in the background. And he's like, well, see you later. And walks out of the action.
Anticlimactic.
But that said, I continue to really enjoy the series. I thought the action here was very good. There's some good fights in the issue. I'm curious to see where it goes next.
Well, a couple of things about this. Like, it's crazy to me that the Witchblade comic is like just like the comic we just talked about, where it's like, actually, this is about a bunch of Italian gangsters. And like, Witchblade? There's barely any witches or blades in this. It's mostly like, hey, you want to come to my party? Well, I'm very Italian. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
You want to
here.
come to my party? We got a wolf and a snake.
Well, but that's the part I want to say. Like, I'm such a sucker for like the classic Bugs Bunny cartoon where they introduce like 15 Dick Tracy villains. We get that in this issue, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
They're like, this is a Doberman with like 3 ear piercings.
Yeah.
How about this dude? Jonathan Krall, the Fifth Street Cannibal. No, we never touch on him again. It's just like, hey, this dude's a cannibal on Fifth Street specifically.
My favorite
he eats
is
people on Fifth Street.
My
we're
favorite
gonna get him
was
again.
this lady has a bug on her face.
Well, just to give you the language, a woman with a whole ass bug on her face.
Yeah, they're having fun. I think this is a blast. First off, cool cover. And then, we get kind of a gladiator style final boss battle in this. I think this is fun. I also like how the art is sharp. I don't know, when I think of Witchblade, I think of sharp angles and art. So they're handling that for sure. Yes, the darkness thing was a little bit of a letdown, but there's probably more to come and they're just teasing us. But yeah, I'm still having a blast here.
Yeah, let's just lay out what they have to reconcile here. The darkness.
Right.
Witch stuff.
Yeah.
Blade stuff.
Yeah.
Italian
And that's what I'm asking
mafia.
you. Which blade are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, which one?
Yeah, like WHICH. You got Doberman with earrings. You got Bugface. You got her mentor who's running with her into the woods. You got cop stuff because her dad was a cop.
Oh,
this
yeah.
book is like, let's put it all on the table, and I'll tell you when we're done.
Laura Kinney, Wolverine #2 from Marvel, written by Erica Schultz, art by Giada Belvisa, picking up of the cliffhanger of the last issue. Wolverine and Daredevil are coming to blows. Will they eventually team up and become friends? I guess you got to read the issue and find out.
Shouts to this book. What I want to see is a Green Lantern and Green Arrow style journey anywhere with these two characters together. Shouts to Erica Schultz for sort of taking ownership of this little corner of the universe. I like both these characters. I like how they sort of fight with each other, but they also sort of get along. Give me that duo adventure series right now.
Yeah, I agree. This first off, sick cover. Love this cover. This is very badass.
So many knives.
Yeah, just so excited.
I gotta say, I don't like it because Wolverine and Elektra are fighting on the cover, and that's what they do inside, so it kind of spoiled it a little bit.
I can understand that. Thank you for sharing. Anyways,
I think she didn't need to pop both those claws.
Anyways, if I could get my
usually
time,
does like 1.5 times.
I would like to get my time back, please. Thank you.
Anyways,
Anyways,
I'll do that somehow.
So these characters are great. I'm very excited about these characters getting together because they're two of my favorites, and I think what each of them are doing individually in their comics are fantastic. Here's the problem. They get together, and we got to do the classic, like, at first they fight and they don't like each other, which is a little disappointing because I feel like what's nice about this version of Wolverine is she isn't as much of a hothead, and she's proven that time and time again in her books, so that's why I was a little disappointed when they get together and she's got to be like, I can't sit still. I can't be quiet and be stealth. And even though she says she can. So I was a little bit like, we got to get this. But I know eventually we'll get over that and they'll be working together and it'll kind of be what they are as actual characters. So I just got to wait it out. But yeah, man, the cover alone just got me super hyped.
Titans number 19 from DC Comics, written by John Layman, art by Serge Acuna. In this issue, Killer Frost has had enough of the Justice League and goes nuts in New York City, and it's only up to the Titans to take her down. I really like this issue. I think this is my favorite of the run so far, just because I thought there was a really nice emotional build with what's going on with Caitlin and her feelings about the Justice League and feelings of like, they're not purposefully keeping her on the outside, but that's what she feels like anyway, which I thought, again, was like a really smart emotional hook for the issue. Plus, we've also got the plot hook of what's going on with everybody else as well. So good stuff.
Yeah, I really agree. I thought it was very kind of cool, just the kind of point of view and how it's like the artistic way that they were like, this could be the way she's feeling about this stuff and the way she is taking these things, even though that might not be the actual reality, but it is her reality. So I just thought that was a cool creative place to come from that builds nicely. And then, I like the ending and the twist and the fun kind of villain reveal stuff. So yeah, this is a blast. Art's fantastic.
I agree with you. The way the story paces up is nice. I like the way Batman is sort of a problem here.
Yeah.
Because, a few months ago, the Titans were set up as the Justice League, and they were meant to be in charge, and then that's really flipped. And I like that this issue sort of says, well, they're now sort of taking our spot. And I thought that's a nice reality to acknowledge. And this is a spoiler for the villain reveal at the end, but like this, it's the Psycho Pirate. And this is a villain that I feel like is always like, oh no, the Psycho Pirate. And I don't get it. I don't buy it. What's the deal with
well,
this?
Here's the thing, because there's regular pirates and then there's psycho pirates.
Yeah, but he's
which
not
are scarier.
He's not like a
it's
psychotic.
Scarier than a regular pirate, bro.
But he's not. What he's like. He has some psychic powers. Very little piracy.
No, he takes over your brain and he takes over your emotions and your memories.
Just like pirates take ships.
So like he jumps from your, like his brain's a ship and he jumps into your brain?
Yeah, and he's coming for your doubloons.
I gotta say, well then, let me ask you this, Alex. If you're backing Psycho Pirate as a
number one character in the history of comics, go ahead.
Wow.
Why is his costume the tragedy and comedy masks from
because he's a classically trained actor, that's why.
Yep.
No, I'm a classically trained actor.
Because he has a lot of stuff going on. Like, you wear different clothes, right?
But he doesn't wear different clothes.
Yeah,
he
but
wears
you
the
wear
same
clothes themed to you. Like, what, you're asshole, but you don't dress like a butthole, right?
No,
like
but
there's
that's
a subtext about him, though. When you look,
that's what I want to escape from.
When you look at him, you kind of
that's what I want to escape from when I'm
asshole.
talking from Godzilla's butthole. No, but his regular costume has a sick cape. He looks like Dr. Fate, but he's like, I like tragedy and comedy.
Yeah,
and
exactly. But
I'm taking over your brain from a
classically
piracy point of view. I'm just saying, he's a hastily decided upon and named villain that is given very much serious consideration in the DC universe, and I think we need to downgrade Psycho
what's scarier, right? A well-trained actor turned villain or psycho pirate?
He's not a well-trained actor turned villain. He's a dude who wears the masks on his spandex.
To kind of give a shout-out to his, where he came from, his origins of a theater background, dude.
He doesn't have a theater background canonically. It's just weird. And I'm just saying...
You're saying he's a poser? He's
can I just say,
pretending to be a theater actor?
The scariest phrase you can hear, hey, you want to go see some community theater? And that's like fucking
Dude, how
terrifying.
dare you? How
could you
dare
imagine?
You don't know that. It could be great.
Could you imagine? Like, that's why he's a crazy, scary villain, is because
it could be
he
great.
Came up in, like, summer stock, and that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's really terrifying. I guess...
Why am I more offended than somebody who's classically trained actor? He's slapping you in the face.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not that he's never been identified as an actor in.
Well, then why would he wear the actor symbols? He's a poser. Is that what you're saying?
That's what is annoying to me. It doesn't make none of him make.
And why
sense.
would he carry as his weapon
comedy.
a diploma from Juilliard? Like, that's the other part that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that is psychotic. I will say that is psychotic.
All right, now you love him.
Yes. No, but I will, like, you have a villain that is revealed in New Gods #2 that we talked about earlier of Max Lord, and that's just, he's a corporate dude, but he's presented as, like, very scary. They do a good job of building him up. This issue is like, you want to know what's fucking terrifying? A dude with comedy and tragedy masks on his chest.
Okay,
whose name's Psycho Pirate.
I know what you're talking about, and I know you don't. As soon as he showed up in the issue, I was like, Justin's not going to like this because he doesn't like Psycho Pirate. He is a henchman here. That's the only thing that's going on.
But he's never set up to be terrifying. He's just like,
he's
look
working
at this.
for Deathstroke, who you also don't like.
Hey, hang on a second. Justin, what about this, though? What about somebody who's always talking about how they went to Cornell, but then they bring an umbrella that it says Cornell on it, and then they're just kind of like waving it around like, we get it. You want somebody to talk about the fact that you went to Cornell. You know what I mean? But then they'll talk about how the umbrella is actually really well made. You know what I mean? But you know what they're really saying.
Peter's talking about me. This doesn't have any relationship to anybody, and nobody is upset.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about a villain that maybe does extra villain things that you're just like, all right, you're just being extra for no reason, but you're like, really a villain.
This feels targeted, and I'll take it. But let me throw out another one. Like, if the villain was revealed and it was like, his name's Crazy Viking.
Right.
Would you be like, oh no, he's scary?
Yeah, because
crazy.
Vikings are also kind of intense, but then a crazy Viking, you don't know what you're going to get.
All right, well, I guess I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Minor Arcana, #5 for Boom Studios by Jeff Lemire. In this issue, for at least part of it, we're jumping back in time to focus on the main character's grandpa, I believe, and find out where their family's tarot powers come from. What'd you think about this one, Justin?
I like this. I like that it just unabashedly jumped to a different story and told us that part of it. I think Jeff Lemire's building up it feels like a larger story here in a way that is, when we first read this, I think it was pretty spare, the first couple issues, and this is now packing story in and really moving in strong and confident directions.
The only thing that I'd throw out there, I really like this as well, but there were a couple of moments that made it feel like this character was Colonel Weird from Jeff Lemire's Black Hammer books. So it was kind of skirting that a little bit, but I like that character and I like his art, so all good over here.
I would say that this takes a very triggering and depressing kind of turn, and it's tough.
Really?
Oh, okay. Are you okay?
In what way?
Well, the reveal of what happens and what he does is kind of intense, man. And, you know, he talks about he can't live with himself after the mistake that he's made, and it's a pretty depressing and fucked up mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's the emotional resonance, and I think the comic does a good job of putting you with him. Like, I think you're feeling what he's
right,
feeling.
but he still did this horrible thing, and you're just like, oh Jesus.
That's literally the point, though. I would argue that's this comic got you successfully.
All right. Well, it's just kind of hard to ride from someone with 5 issues. Then it's like, hey, do you want to know something fucked up about my life? Yeah.
Well, but we're not going to. This character is not the main character. Like,
right.
We're going to
I know, but it's kind of hard to.
Well, but the other character as
that
well,
reveal is pretty fucked up.
I
man.
believe his granddaughter is going through the same thing. So it's showing how this generational trauma has been healed potentially, or could be healed, by helping other people through these tarot-based powers.
Yeah.
Why don't we move on? Talk about the question all along the Watchtower, number 3 from DC Comics, written by Alex Segura, art by Cian Torme. In this issue, everything is starting to come together as the question figures out the mystery of who has been attacking the Justice League Watchtower. Potential spoilers here for the mystery. Did you see that villain reveal coming?
I did not. And, I guess I would have to go back and sort of reread to see if there were more clues. And we literally interviewed Alex, and he was like, the clues are there. And as I was reading this, I was like, well, I didn't get any of them, I guess. But I did like it. I thought the way that this unfolds is like a nice thriller, like where people keep getting sort of taken down until we get our reveal. I just really like riding along with the question, and her connection with Batwoman is great. It's just this is again fitting into my model that DC's really crushing it right now.
This is fun. Twists and turns are great. I like this. The villain reveal isn't that great, but I was still enjoying it.
Why? You don't like robots?
No, I've never liked robots.
Checks out.
I also really like the relationship between the question and Batwoman, and I think that's well done here. I continue to be surprised how action-forward this is, given Alex is very much more of a noir writer, and that's sort of what I thought we were going to get, but that's okay. That's what the book is.
It's impressive when a writer can surprise you.
Hey man, the action is good, and even if you don't like robots, you can still like this book. Last but not least, let's talk about The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, number 15 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Tate Bromble, art by Isaac Goodhart. In this issue, Christopher Chaos finally finds out sort of exactly who he is, thanks to Adam Frankenstein. Meanwhile, we're following a number of other characters, including the leader of the organization who has been hunting down monsters, trying to convince Chris's mom to just let him be happy by giving up his powers. And it all ends in a place where, without getting into spoilers, this was the weirdest part of the issue to me. It ends in a place where I was like, oh, that's sad. Okay, what's next? And then the note at the end from Tate Bromble is like, did you think that was the end of the series? It's not. There's more to come. And I was like, I definitely did not. That 100% was not the end of the series.
Nobody thought it was the end of the series. But, I guess if you were like a real stickler for publishing timelines, you were like, that's the last issue, I think. Maybe you'd be feeling that way. But, this is just such a clear setup for more exciting stuff. I love how much comes together in this issue. This was so dynamic. It felt like what we've been building toward for a while, and it sort of paid off everything at once. I think from a storytelling perspective, I wish we could have paid off some of the stuff a little bit earlier, but it really hit here. Like, everything is really working well. Adam Frankenstein feels important and not as just unnecessarily built up as he has been for the last 6 or 8 issues, where I was like, why are we talking about him so much? And then this issue says why? But it also just brought the focus back to Christopher Chaos in a way that I was like, yes, finally. And hopefully that is the drive we get as we're pushing into this next story that we're not going to get for maybe a little while.
Yeah, as someone who talked about this before, about how excited they were looking forward to this
was
issue.
One of your picks.
Yeah, I thought this was
your shot from midfield? I don't know.
yeah. Anyways, this was a dope issue. Love the ending, so touching. Love the art. Just love how well it worked with the story. Such an interesting world that this comic plays in. This is great comics. This comic is super tight bananas. I was just super impressed with this whole thing, and really
tight bananas
came together in number 15 here. So yeah, loved it.
Since you guys know sports better, has there ever been somebody like Babe Ruth who's called it like they point at the first baseman because they know they're going to get taken out at first base?
No.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the New York Giants, they sort of do that every play.
Oh, dude, how dare you? Just because the Bills are killing it, but historically,
this went too far.
You don't want to
that
go.
Is
you
it
don't want to
for this
run up
just
against
like, oh no, I didn't want to open.
Because I remember Super Bowl.
I didn't actually want to talk about sports. I just wanted to make a joke.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on. If you want to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com.
I'm still rooting for the Bills.
Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
Even
on Facebook
with
and
all
YouTube.
that history.
Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comic books. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice. To subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club on Blue Sky, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
Can't wait to be there, guys. We just saw each other in person, and it's really brought us closer together. No one can deny how much closer we are.
I've already ruined it.